Alright, well, welcome aboard everybody. Good morning, aloha, and of course you guys can call me Marty, and I'll give you a little history about me. I've been flying helicopters for 18 years, 8 years in Hawaii, 4 years in Alaska, a bunch of years with search and rescue, also a little over 10,000 hours of helicopters. I've been around a while. Also want to make sure you guys had a chance to see that safety video before you got on board today. Good. A couple things to help you out. As far as pictures go, you guys can shoot it anytime you want. I recommend you turn off your flash. That'll just prevent you from getting reflection off the glass. And those microphones, we do switch them off, but only during takeoff and landing. The rest of the time they'll stay on. And you'll find this air conditioner gets pretty cold, so you can open and close these vents. You can also pivot them, make yourself as comfortable as you can with those. If you feel funny in flight for some reason, we got the Aloha bags on board. They're in the pouches in front of your knees in the back. I got them out front. They're also in that door to your right. Other than that, you guys all set to go?
Good to go.
Okay, good.
Gonna put the world away for a minute, pretend I don't live in it. Sunshine gonna wash my blues away. Had sweet love but I lost it. She got too close so I fought it. Now I'm lost in the world trying to find me a better way. Wishing I was knee deep in the water somewhere. Got the blue sky breeze and it don't seem fair. Only worry in the world is the tide gonna reach my chair. Sunrise, there's a fire in the sky. Never been so happy, never felt so high. And I think I might have found me my own kind of paradise. Wrote a note, said be back in a minute. Bought a boat and I sailed off in it. Don't think anybody's gonna miss me anyway. Mind on a permanent vacation. The ocean is my only medication. Wishing my condition ain't ever gonna go away. Cause now I'm knee deep in the water somewhere. Got the blue sky breeze blowing wind through my hair. Only worry in the world is the tide gonna reach my chair. Sunrise, there's a fire in the sky. Never been so happy, never felt so.
Not bad, huh, guys?
Not bad.
Right? This whole area right here, this is Kalapaki Bay. It's right by the Marriott Hotel. This is where you got Duke's Restaurant, beach volleyball, surfing. Even that lighthouse to your left there you can drive right out to called Ninini. A little bit of dirt road to get there, but it's not bad. We do get some cruise ships in here now and then.
It's actually docking here?
Yeah, right there to our right. That's called the Willy Willy Harbor. It's just about enough room for one.
Yeah.
And we'll plan on flying along this river right here. This is the Huli'ia River. That's the same river that was used in Indiana Jones, if you remember, when the seaplane took off from the river. And if you guys are interested, you can do guided trips on this, both stand-up paddle and kayak. Little rainbow down to you right there.
I think you have one of the best jobs.
I wouldn't really say I work for a living. This is called the Hau'upu mountain range that we'll fly alongside. I doubt you'll see it, but it's home to the only native mammal on this island. It's a bat. And sometimes you do get some wind up this ridge here. There's always going to be a few places like that on the island. Nothing to worry about. We figure it's nice to let you know. Now the dirt road up ahead, it's an ATV tour you guys can try here. It's called the Kipu Ranch Tour. That's the same road that was in the movie Descendants, if you remember when George Clooney drove the Jeep up over the hill and he was looking at some land. That land's just across that saddle to your left there. That's all going to become state parks land someday, so eventually you'll all be allowed to drive over there. A little bit of a cattle ranch here too, so you might see some cattle around here.
So all of this is currently private hands?
You bet, yep. This land right below us here is owned by a family called the Rice family. They live right along that long row of pine trees you see up ahead of us here. Those are called Cook Pines. There's the other half of the rainbow. Now whereabouts on the island are you guys all staying here on Kauai? Poipu, South Shore? Everybody else same place, different places?
We're right next to it.
Koloa? Oh, okay, right on. In fact, as you look across the mountains to your left here, you're looking right at South Shore, so that's Poipu coming up. That means all of you probably driven through the tunnel trees a couple times, I imagine?
A few.
Right on. You figure out what kind of trees they are yet?
No.
But you guys know though. What would you say if I asked you guys, what does a koala bear like to eat?
Eucalyptus?
There you go. You got it.
So most of that farming down there, is that, it's no longer cane, is it coffee or?
Yeah, the cane is all gone. Actually went away about 5 years ago. It's kind of a toss-up between corn and coffee as the two largest plantations here. Coffee's been around forever, but the corn actually took over a lot of the cane fields.
Yeah, I bet.
In fact, that reservoir to the left there, the Waitau Reservoir, was designed for the sugarcane. It's called the Waitau Reservoir. It's all man-made. It's mostly fishing down there now. And you'll see the tunnel of trees here in a few seconds. That ridge line straight ahead, it basically parallels that ridge just on the opposite side. So we should be able to fly right over it.
What do you think, Sydney?
Really cool.
Very cool.
There's Highway 50. This is the road you guys take when you head home. Only road south right there. Here comes that tree tunnel. You'll see a couple cars drive through it.
So that looks like it's been there for a while. Was that original rail bed or something?
What was that?
I said the trees look like they've grown in for quite a while.
Yeah, they were planted in 1911, so it's been a long time. You know, got damaged a little bit back in '92 when Hurricane Iniki came through, but they've regrown nicely. Now we're going to fly over the Kahili mountain range. Same thing as we do. Sometimes you'll get some wind off the ridge up here. And you can see the coffee fields now. Those dark green fields to your left there along the shoreline that goes all the way to that big peninsula, that's all Kauai coffee.
And the trees that are lined up here, are those macadamia?
No, that's eucalyptus also. Those were originally planted as an idea to use them as a hardwood for furniture and whatnot, but it sounds like it's probably going to be turned into wood chips for alternate power here. It's a new power plant that's going to come online this year.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a motorcycle trail that's about to pass below us here, so if you're looking down left or right, this narrow line, that's where they ride. So this is definitely not for the rookies.
Do you know what the population is of the island?
I do.
And?
Oh. 67,000. Yeah. Which is pretty amazing when you consider Oahu's about 50 square miles bigger than us, but their population is almost 1 million.
What's that, like, green thing right there?
It's called a microwave reflector. So it's used to bounce signals around the mountains because that Hau'upa mountain range blocks the signals into the Poipu side. And they painted it and shaped it to look like a mountain peak so you can't see it from the road. And what we'll do is keep going west, so we're going to head into a valley here called Honopepe. And if you think back to 1992, it's where they filmed the first of the Jurassic Park movies. It's where they filmed that helicopter landing in front of a waterfall. It's a 280-foot waterfall called Manawaiapuna. Pretty much everybody today calls it Jurassic Falls.
So Allerton's down to the left, McBride to the right?
Say it again?
Allerton Gardens is going to be down to the left, right?
Yeah, it's actually way off that way, much further left.
Well, I didn't realize we already passed it.
Yeah, that's right on the far side of the Spouting Horn when you go South Shore. Yep. Now we'll begin our descent here. This land, by the way, is all privately owned as well, owned by a family called the Robinson family. I'll explain more about them here in a little bit. If you want to find the Jurassic Falls, though, down low, there's a ridgeline that slopes off on about a 45-degree angle. And as we begin banking left here, just give it a few more seconds, and just behind that ridgeline to your right, here she comes.
Is that a helicopter that's landed down there?
Yeah. Sweet, huh? Yeah, you guys might just have to watch that movie later, huh?
We tried to watch Jurassic Park on Netflix, but we couldn't find it.
Really? Wow. That's because a new one's going to be coming out soon. Just got finished filming number 4 not too long ago. Should start seeing the waterfalls all over the place out here as you look closely, though. And of course, as we swing around, that Jurassic Falls will be sneaking back to our left here.
Tons of falls, Zoe, on your left.
Oh,
Sydney.
yeah.
So what do the islanders think about the movie filming? Do they mostly like it, or like the locals?
Yeah, oh yeah. In fact, if it probably wasn't for them owning this land, you'd probably have developments way up into these areas and the population would be pretty close to Oahu. Yeah, you'll see here in a second.
How tall is the waterfall?
That's 280 feet, that one. Yeah. And, you know, the Robinson family bought this land too, middle 1800s for about 50 cents an acre.
Must have been nice.
Yeah, oh yeah. 52,000 square acres, which is valued in the billions now. And it's all protected land too, so you're going to notice as we fly over it, you'll see zero developments. It's also non-taxable. And they're the same family that owns an island here called Ni'ihau. Might see that here in a little bit.
Were those all deeded by the monarchy, though, originally?
By the who?
The Hawaiian monarchy, when they split the land up.
That was actually sold to them directly from King Kamehameha, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you got in early, it's a good time.
Yeah, it's like, I'll take $150 worth. Sound good?
I'm still surprised, though, it's been kept in the families and hasn't been broken up as much as, you know, sold off in bits and bobs.
Yeah, no, it's super nice, for sure.
So you guys don't have the issue with, like Lahai, where Oracle guy Larry Ellison bought the island. You're not seeing that same kind of phenomenon over here?
No, I mean, there's certainly a lot of private ownership over here, but I think more than anything, this kind of keeps the population down on the island, really, because it seems like when people buy land here, it's huge parcels. Yeah.
Do they come up often, though? I would imagine they don't really come on the market.
No, I mean, there's some property that pops up around here and there, and it's, like 10, 20 acres, but not thousands, yeah. You know, this next valley coming up here called Olakele, this was a wedding gift to the Robinsons from a family called the Knutsons. So they're the guys that created the tunnel of trees. And they basically own as far into the valley to the right, as you'll be able to see here in a second, and all the way out towards the shoreline to your left. In fact, as we cross over the ridgeline, I suspect you should be able to see Ni'ihau Island out there, about 10 o'clock, yep. Nice wedding gift, huh?
Not too bad.
Right?
Is this all considered the Central Mastiff?
What did you call it?
The Central Mastiff, the Central Range, or?
Never heard of that word before. I mean, the central mountain range of the island, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Not really. Actually, that Kahili mountain range that we flew over when we first started going towards Jurassic Falls is actually considered to be the longest mountain range on the island.
Okay.
Yeah, that one goes right up towards the center. I'll show you guys the Robinson's property line, too. We're going to fly right over it. It's actually nothing more than a little fence that runs along a dirt road.
The mountains kind of look like clay.
Yeah, yep. A lot of people think it's Sedona when they see this with all the red color like that. That's Waimea Town way off your left out there. It's pretty common to see that water turn red, actually, because Waimea means red water.
Is that iron or some other kind of?
Exactly, yeah. It's basically just oxidized iron. I mean, at 5.5 million years old, we've had a long time to rust, you know. The Big Island is actually the youngest. That one's only about 800,000 years old. But we do fly on all the Hawaiian Islands. There comes that property line. You can look left or right, doesn't really matter. You'll start to see a fence running along this dirt road down here. It goes right in front of us, continues off your right shoulder. As soon as you cross over that, we fly into we're leaving Robinson Land, heading into State Land, right about there. And now we're on our way to Waimea Canyon. Most of you already had a chance to do some driving up in the canyon here?
Not yet.
Not so far? Couple days of Mai Tais and beaches, I guess, huh? I got it. Well, you'll love the drive. It's all paved roads, very twisty road. It's called Highway 550, which runs along those cliffs to your left. And make sure you drive to the end of the road, too, because you'll go right up to Kalala Valley. That's halfway down on the Nepali coastline.
Did people used to live in the mountains before the trees were there?
I don't know if they were before the trees were here, but there's definitely people who used to live in this area here. In fact, there's burial caves located in the canyon that you can still see bones laying inside the caves. In fact, they're up this valley, the second valley up here called Kauai. Now, if you're a hiker, you'll love that Kauai has no snakes here. We have no predators. What we do have are black-tailed deer, goat, wild boar, pig, pheasant, turkey, lots of chickens. No monkeys and no mongoose. Pretty easy.
What's your favorite part of the island?
Definitely the Nepali side, which you'll understand here shortly. I'll tell you, if you ever do want to hike the canyon, the easiest trail to remember here is called Canyon Trail. Now, it is a trail that splits along the way into a different one called Waipo'o Falls. You don't really see the waterfall when you're on the trail, but you can see it from the road when you drive up there, and you'll see it from the air. But if you ever do make it to it, make sure you hike upstream a little bit, because there's a smaller waterfall in the back of the valley you can go swimming in.
So is all this open to hiking, camping, or is limited?
Yeah, you bet. There's probably at least a dozen trails just in the canyon alone. There's Waipo'o Falls. So as we approach this one, we're basically quadrupling the size of the Jurassic Falls right there. The trail itself is actually located left of the upper falls along that slope.
So being a search and rescue guy, I'm curious. You know, we used to live in Seattle, and
Right.
there's always some guys get up and Rainier and get themselves in trouble. Do you have a lot of folks get out here and, you know, get exposure or anything like that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, people always get in really tricky spots when they get rescued. We were talking about the other day how nobody ever gets lost or hurt in an easy area. You know?
Yeah. That's that guy in Germany with the miner, right?
Right. But the nice thing about the search and rescue here, and they've kept it this way for a long time, is it's free service. So, you know, you get picked up, you don't get a bill for it.
That is amazing.
Right? And we've been taken advantage of before. It's happened. I mean, I've picked up people, you know, claiming they needed to get out of a certain area, and later on that day I saw them hitchhiking down the road. So, you never know.
Yeah.
Just was tired and didn't want to hike out, you know.
Do you still do Hawaiian search and rescue?
I don't. That's all run by the fire department now. You basically have to choose to do that type of work only.
So what's the total vertical between the floor and the highest sides?
On this island, it's actually just shy of a mile. Yeah. The highest point on this island is called Mount Kauai. Sydney, you can steal her mic there if it's acting up on you. Yeah.
Which island has the most trees?
I have no idea. I would imagine Big Island, though, since it's the biggest. You know, that would be my guess. But then there's a lot of lava fields out there with nothing growing on it, so it's tough to say. See those white buildings out there in the distance? That's Barking Sands Naval Base. That's your only military base on the island. And then you can see some folks trout fishing over here to your right. That's the Lua Reservoir. They actually specifically stocked that with rainbow trout over there.
Hey, Liz, when I was telling you about the runway, that was Barking Sands. We weren't sure if that was a private.
No, it's an active naval base. It's got helicopters and jets out there, all kinds of good stuff.
Are the mountains like muddy or like rock?
It's not really that much heavy rock out here. I mean, we do have some, but most of it's really brittle. Yeah. There's plenty of mud on the island, though. Then if you see that beach on your left, That's Polahale. That's basically as far southwest as you can drive on this island. That'll take you about 5 miles into the road to get to that beach right there. And then, oh, go ahead.
Is there anywhere on the island where you see some of the old lava flows intact?
I mean, like the old lava tunnels kind of deal?
Yeah.
The only one I know of is over in the backside of Hanalei Valley. It's an old lava tube that you can actually hike through. Some people use it to get from one side of the valley to the other. But you don't really see them like you do over on the Big Island.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, all these cliffs here that we're flying along, they're considered part of the Nepali coastline. So it's about 16 miles, only we'll intersect it closer to a trail called Nuololo up ahead of us. By the way, Nepali, it just means the cliffs.
If you were to drive all the way around the island, how long do you think it would take?
You know, it'd be different every day because certain areas like Kauai and Puhi have pretty bad traffic. Plus, if you haven't noticed yet, the speed limit here is pretty slow, 25 to 35. So if you drove all the way from Polahale all the way to Kauai Beach, it could easily be a couple hours or longer, yeah. But I think if you did it like 4 in the morning, you'd probably do it pretty quick.
What's the installation on the left of the radar domes?
So that's a tracking station out here called Makaha Ridge. Think of that as a early warning system. In fact, it's the only paved road you'll see coming down into this area here. Watch for sea life too as we get to the coastline. Could be spinner dolphins out here, sea turtles, manta rays, sharks. You never know what you see out here. And that trail I was telling you about, Nuololo, is right along the crest of that ridgeline to your right there, about 2 o'clock low. So as we cross over the ridgeline, just take a look around you, and here she comes. Welcome to Nepali.
Do any of these rock faces or off islands have any rookeries? Birds?
I mean, oh yeah, there's all over the place here. I was trying to think back to what rookery meant again. Yeah, we spend more time dodging birds out here probably than anything else.
Is the water normally red flag here?
Red, you said?
Yeah.
Not really. If it rains really hard, I've seen it turn pretty bright red out here. All that red dirt goes flowing in there, but it's generally pretty clear and blue out here. And you know, since this is all state parks land, you can basically figure that by boat, by air, and hiking, it's the only ways out here. But we're going to head right into this valley coming up called Honupu. Legally, you can only get to this beach, which is the same name, by swimming to it, and that's because it's known to be Hawaiian burial grounds. Now, the green stuff on the cliffs, some of it's trees, but mostly what you're seeing is about 250 different varieties of fern. Every once in a while, we'll see some mountain goats in these valleys here, too.
It's amazing.
Right? I think you'll figure it out pretty quickly why it's one of my favorite valleys here.
How is the sand so, like, clean and, like, good?
Sand kind of always looks the same here. You know where sand comes from, right?
No.
Sand is just chewed up coral that fish spit out, yeah. It's true.
That's cool.
Yeah. This is why I love the valley though. As we get towards the back, I want you to look way back to your left here like you're looking out towards the ocean, and take a look at this view coming up. Don't forget to look up too.
This is so cool.
See that? These types of cliffs are called fluted cliffs, although sometimes there's a part of the mountains around the corner here referred to as the cathedrals. That's located directly above the Kalala beach, which is where the Nepali Trail ends. It's about 11 miles one way to hike there. 9 hours one way, I'd say. You'll see maybe some kayaks on it this time of year. It's a little bit quicker during the summer months to kayak to the beach and hike 22 miles.
I can see the dry runs where the water comes down the mountainside. I can only imagine after a heavy rain, it must be just gushing.
Oh yeah, it's rare on this side, but it happens, yeah.
It seems like the water's calmer, or is that just me?
This side of the island, it's kind of the northwest side, is really calm waters during the summer months. During the winter, 15 to 25 foot waves. Yep. So usually South Shore is a little rougher this time of year. That's always what happens. And actually later on, if you drive to the end of the road up in the canyon, this is the valley you look into right here. This is Kalala Valley. So there used to be about 5,000 Hawaiians living in this valley up here. Now it's about, I'd say 24 hippies. There's been a guy living in the valley for 15 years out here. I'll see if I can show you guys what the Nepali Trail looks like too. Keep in mind some parts of the trail are pretty narrow. I mean, you're talking 8 inches. So what I'll show you might look pretty narrow, but it's probably going to be one of the water parts of the trail. Beautiful water, huh?
When was the last earthquake?
I don't know. Yeah, that's out of my memory completely on that one. I don't think we really get too many earthquakes over here. You get more of them over on the Big Island with that active volcano, Kilauea, still there. By the way, there's I was talking about the trail right below us here.
Do a lot of bad stuff like hurricanes and stuff like that happen in Kauai?
It happens, but the last known hurricane on this island was 1992. That was Hurricane Iniki. That actually did a lot of damage here on the island. It was the wind speeds over 200 miles an hour. And you know, the hardest part of this trail out here is called Crawler's Ledge. So there's a switchback down one of these tight valleys here that ends up going around the outside edge of a rock face. A lot of loose rock, and the trail's actually sort of angled outwards. So usually if anybody ever turns around, they'll end up doing it on a Crawler's Ledge. In fact, this ridge line goes right down to the Crawler's Ledge there.
Do people like throw garbage and bad stuff in the ocean here?
I would hope not. Yeah, they're pretty good about recycling out here, yeah. But we do find it on the beaches every once in a while, sometimes just floating in from other places in the world, yeah.
Yeah, they were learning about Trash Island in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, you still see that stuff going on. I'm sure that event in Japan didn't help. That probably put a lot of stuff in the ocean as well. So part of the fun of kayaking this coastline out here is that all these little sea caves you can sneak into. And so if you do one of the kayaking trips here, that is guided.
How deep can the water get?
Thousands of feet, yeah. What's the Marianas Trench is like, what, 20,000 feet, something like that? Yeah.
More than you can stand, so
Yeah.
City.
Out here, the water below you right now is probably 30 to 50, right around there. That beach you see to your right, that's Hanakapiai. That's the first 2 miles in the Nepali Trail. And then that trail starts at Kauai Beach, which is up ahead. That's where the road ends on the North Shore. Make sure you get there pretty early. It's really difficult to find parking there after about 9 o'clock in the morning. But it's an amazing sunset, beautiful snorkeling, lifeguarded. You'll thank me later.
So what brought you to the island?
It was a friend of mine. I was flying with him in Alaska, and he came out here prior to me, and he just said, "Hey, man, why don't you come out fly in Hawaii for a little while?" I said, "All right." Seemed to like it. I came out, and he left about 6 months later. His family didn't like it here that much, I guess. They missed their family.
You fly out of Anchorage?
No, I flew out of southeast Alaska in the Tongass Forest, yeah. All up and down the Taya Inlet. See what I mean about Kauai Beach? See how nice that water is down there? There's the kayakers heading out. Got a group of them. Let's change up the perspective here a little bit. So if we swing around here, take a look back to your left here, and you should be able to look back down the Nepali coastline about 11 miles. Take a look at that. Tell you what, there's not many days you see Nepali without a big wall of clouds sitting on it too. That's really clear for the Nepali coastline.
So could you fly us back to San Francisco?
No, we wouldn't make it very far.
So are there any coral formations? I can see a little bit underwater, but I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
Yeah, the dark stuff you see in the water, that is coral actually. Lighter spots is sand. Sometimes you'll see some real dark spots in the water. It's just shadows from the clouds. There's another group of kayakers a little further up there, so you got two different groups going down the coastline.
Are those like water splashing up? Are those dolphins or whales?
No, the white spots you see should be just, they're called white caps. It's where the wind's blowing the wave over and it's making that white cap like that. But sometimes we do see the dolphins around here. No whales on the island this time of year. They're here only during the winter time. Right now they're all back in Alaska.
So all of this area is KE Beach?
Straight ahead, that's KA Beach. To your right is Hanakaupai. Now up ahead there's a reef here called Tunnels Reef. Typically you would park inside of this bay up here, which is by a place we call the Dry Cave. You wouldn't snorkel down there though, it tends to be a little milky. What you want to do is walk up towards that red house on the corner. You'll see a little further up. Typically it's a little smoother up there. It's very well shielded, always seems to be a lot of sea turtles hanging out. And this is the same reef that if you ever saw the movie Soul Surfer, this is where she was bit for real. It was about a week after that happened that big tiger shark was killed.
Yeah, we got a big Soul Surfer fan here in the back.
Oh yeah. She lives here on the island. She's married now, still surfing professionally. Let's see if I can show you why they call it tunnels. You can really only see this during the summertime. So as we get towards the outside edge of the reef, if we bank over a little bit, you'll start to notice there's these lines that radiate along the reef there. Those are tunnels. Since they surf right over them, you can see where the name comes from.
How deep was Bethany Hamilton when she got bit?
That water where she was at, it's about 20 feet deep there, yeah, 25. This town is one you'll remember because Haena is mostly built on stilts. And there's a whole bunch of those single lane bridges you have to pass through in this area as well. Yeah, that water to your left there is 50 feet deep. You can see all the way down to the bottom. No problem. Straight ahead, Princeville. That giant building on the cliffs, St. Regis. But I tell you what, if you want to catch a nice sunset, go to Hanalei Bay where you see all those boats anchored up out there. You can, there's a pier behind it, the Hanalei Pier. You can park your car right on that beach. Hands down, that's one of the nicest sunsets here in Kauai.
Those houses over there, is that like the house that Bethany Hamilton lived in?
No, she lives up here, up near Hanalei Bay, yeah. Now this is a fun beach to watch waves on, Lumahai, but be really careful. Lumahai Beach is probably one of the most dangerous rip currents on the island. So if you ever go swimming here, make sure you stick to that river down low to your right there by the bridge. A lot of locals will take their kids swimming right there. See what I mean about the pier though? See how nice that water is next to the pier? Really flat out there.
So not as many of the tourist developments on this side.
Oh, it's plenty touristy up here, yeah. One of the major resorts is up here. All the nice flat water this time of year, yeah. All the snorkeling. This is the place to be on the North Shore. It's pretty rainy up here too, so you can see right away it's pretty lush up here compared to what you saw in the canyon. So that's the difference between 90 inches of rain up here and 30 on the west side. It's also why they grow taro on the North Shore, so if you're noticing any of these fields with the water in them, that's taro. But basically, the root of that plant is used to make poi. That's probably something you guys will try if you go to Luau. If you haven't tried the poi yet, I'll let you guys work that out.
So is the predominant wind then coming in from the north?
Yeah, trade winds typically come from the north, and then Kona winds come from the south. Kona winds also bring fog to the island, or volcanic fog. Yeah. It's always generally pretty windy on the islands because we have so much distance between land masses, or fetch they call it. There's not really much blockage for us out here, you know. But it keeps it cool. When you get those couple of weeks out here with not much wind, it gets pretty hot real quick. Never quite as humid as you see down in the southeast United States, though. That is Hanalei Town down there, by the way. We're going to head a little further into the mountains, though, so we can look for a waterfall big enough you can see it all the way from town. It's a 2,400-foot waterfall called Namalokama. What you don't see from town, though, and what I'll show you up here, is that the waterfall actually splits into about 30 different waterfalls. You can just see it coming up ahead of us here. So what's the name of that big waterfall again? I can just make it up as I go, huh? Good to know, good to know. A little tricky, it's called Namalokama. You guys learned to state fish yet?
What?
It's a really long name, I know that.
Triggerfish? That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, its Hawaiian name is Huhumonogalapawa. Yep. I can say it pretty quick. Yeah, Namalokama is the only continuous fall for this mountain area right here. The rest of these just kind of come and go with the rain.
What happens when all the water flows down a waterfall?
When it's all gone, you mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it looks like this. It's just a dark line like that. No water in it, yeah. That's pretty common on this island. You can see a lot of them. Once you start seeing one, you can see where waterfalls sometimes show up based on the rain, yeah. I think it's the splits in this fall that really make it, though. There's no trail into this area. I've never seen it. You would basically have to rock hop the river the whole way, and you can already see we're pretty far away from Hanalei Town now. Beautiful view of the bay out there, though. And we'll fly into Hanalei Valley. This is where you really get the feeling of how uninhabited this island really is. They say about 80% of this island is unreachable except for by helicopter.
Okay, this one's for Gabby.
The fall straight ahead? What's that one?
Pacoa? Yeah. Hanalei Valley tends to be pretty rainy, so we usually see waterfalls in quite a few places out here. If you want to paddle, though, that river down there, the Hanalei River, that's a great one to keep in mind. It goes about 3.5 miles before it just gets too shallow for you. But the nice thing about it is you can rent stand-up paddle boards and kayaks right on the river.
Is this considered part of the Waimea Canyon system still, or different?
No, just that one area on the southwest side. Yep, this is all Hanalei Valley. Although, across from the power lines way off to your left, that's actually a separate valley over there called Kali'iwai. And you can hike this valley right up those power lines there. It's called the Power Line Trail. It's about 13 miles. Never believe it, but Kauai is actually powered by burning diesel fuel.
I never would have thought. It's beautiful, though.
Yeah. More viable power source would be nice. Now this valley has some pretty invasive species. One of the worst is something that looks like a giant star you might see around here. It's called an Australian tree fern. They're actually working on getting rid of those, but seeing as that project's mostly done by helicopters, as you can imagine, it's pretty tedious.
I love Australia.
Never been. Love the accent. Another rainbow down to your right there. Kind of came and went, huh? You can also look around here and maybe you'll see some of the orange blossom trees. If you notice those, it's called an African tulip. You see a lot of those along the coastline. Can't really tell from up here, but those trees are over 100 feet high, and that'll help you understand how dense this forest is out here. There's a little one down to your left there. It's all by itself.
Why is there so much rain in only Hawaii?
On this island, it's because the mountains are so steep, and with all that wind, warm wind coming in, and how it's super cool, it creates a cloud so quickly, and you can just get so much moisture up there so fast. Yeah, some perfect conditions for being the rainiest, wettest place on Earth. We get 460 inches of rain a year here on Kauai. Seattle, the place everybody says is so rainy, only gets about 38.
We need to take water back to California. Serious drought that we're
Really?
in.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to head towards the old volcano up here, and this is a place that you can drive to at least part of the way. The road's called Kuamo'o, it's spelled K-U-A-M-O-O. I would say about 50% of the road's pretty good until you have to drive over the river. After you do that, it's serious four-wheel drive. This is definitely one of these kind of places that when it rains really hard, every one of these vertical lines you're going to start seeing around here can all open up at the same time it happens. But what we'll do is fly through a big opening approaching up here, and this will put us directly below the wettest place on Earth. We'll fly inside the Mount Waialeale crater.
So did it blow out here to the left? Is that, or is it eroded?
No, that's just a little valley right there. It blew out right here. This actually partially eroded and blew out this southern wall right there. Yeah. In fact, if it wasn't for that being gone, you would never see the volcano. It would just be covered in clouds most times, which is pretty typical here on Kauai. I've been flying here 8 years. I've seen 4 days where it's been completely clear all day.
Have you ever been in a helicopter crash?
No.
Not going to either.
Not planning on it. Welcome to the crater.
How many waterfalls are in Kauai?
You know, that's actually one of the most common questions, and I don't have a good answer for you. There's probably a few dozen that are always running here on Kauai, and then there's hundreds that can pop up after it rains really hard. Yeah.
I can see why movies are filmed here.
Yeah.
So I take it, since you guys aren't on the hot spot anymore, do you have any active volcanic activity?
No, yep, and you're right. The same hot spot where the big island is where we used to be. So, unlikely that we'll ever erupt again. More than likely this island eventually will sink into the ocean, become an atoll. Yeah. Even the big island's shifting away. There's a seamount underwater right now that's been named, assuming it'll break the surface. So that means it's shifting away, and the new island, if that happens, is going to be called Loihi. I think rain looks really cool from the air. You see a little rain shower right there we'll fly towards. And if you do drive up here, you know this road that comes up is the same road that was used in Jurassic Park, if you remember when they drove through the gates. Now the gates are actually gone, but the cement posts they mounted them to, still down there. In fact, the road ends down low to our left here by those flat trees. Those are called African albesias. They look like giant umbrellas.
That's the one with the Jeeps?
It's not an ATV tour. If you come up here, you got to do it on your own. Yeah.
But Jurassic Park, was that with the
Yes,
Jeeps?
yeah, exactly.
And that's the African tulip down there on the left? That bright orange?
Yes, that's one of them, exactly. So if you can imagine that's over 100 feet high, think of how dense everything else is.
This might be a crazy question, but do you know how many mountains are in Kauai?
Independent mountain ranges? If I sat down on paper, I could probably figure it out, yeah. I mean, you got a few that you can see right off the bat. You can see Haupu out there to your right. That's Makaleha to your left. That's Anahola way out to your left. You got Sleeping Giant, Kalepa, Kahili. There's quite a few. There's a rainbow behind you too, by the way.
So is there anything much out to that left-hand side, development-wise, or is it just range?
Here, there's nothing. There's nothing out here at all as far as developments. It's all just open country, yeah. You know, years ago they started doing a tour up here called mountain tubing, and what they're actually doing is they're using irrigation ditches the Chinese built for the sugarcane here, only now you go down the ditch on an inner tube, and since you go right through the side of the mountains of pitch black tunnels, they give you a headlamp, helmet, whole 9 yards. In fact, I'll see if I can fly right by it so you can see what it looks like.
That sounds kind of cool.
It's quite fun. It's just like a big lazy river.
So again, all this is private hands underneath this, or plantation?
Yeah, this is owned by Steve Case.
Steve Case, ALL?
Yep. See that dam down to your right? There's a ditch coming off of it. You might see some tubes in the water. Blue or yellow means they're getting ready to go. There's a couple of them down there. Yep. There's part of the ditch to your left there. That's the first of 5 tunnels you go through right there.
Do any of the trees grow to a specific size?
I don't know. These albesias kind of seem to be limited at this size that they're at right now. I haven't seen them get too much taller, but it could take a long time. They grow a little more robust here than they would in Africa.
I suppose they're not native, are they? They're not.
No. Yeah, birds and wind are the 2 biggest culprits for introducing random species out here. There's the end of the mountain tubing tour down low to your left there where that vehicle is. Well, it takes about an hour and 15 minutes on the water. It took us about 10 seconds, but we're about 115 miles an hour. Now, these fields here all used to be old sugarcane, but it's actually it's a cattle ranch now. So that's the reason for those crops you see along the road up ahead of us here. That's basically feed corn for the cattle. This is all considered to be the eastern South Island here.
So is there no more sugar cane on the island then?
It's all gone. About 5-6 years ago it disappeared, yeah. And you can see as we get closer to the coastline, there's a lot more of these African tulip trees around here. And you also notice that the cattle are all really located in one particular spot. They're all over the place out here.
I know the Big Island had a cattle industry for a long time, but I mean, is it local use or do they ship it out?
Both. And when they ship out, it goes all the way to Texas. Yeah. They're supposed to bring a dairy ranch onto the island this year, but there's a couple of controversial issues with that. One is that it's going to be located really close to Poipu, so you can imagine what the wind blows the right way. That'll be interesting. And secondly, it's not going to be refined here. It has to be shipped off island, so it's not going to make it any cheaper.
I assume a lot of the food stuff and petrol and all that still comes in regularly.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the #1 exporter?
#1 what?
Export.
I would say coffee, probably, yeah. Yeah. And pretty soon here we're coming into Lihui airspace, so I'll be coming off the radio in a moment, but definitely want to thank you guys for coming cruising with me. Lots of good questions. And keep on enjoying Kauai and wherever you end up here on the Hawaiian Islands. And stick around after we land if you guys want to get a photograph of the helicopter. Our ground crew will be more than happy to do that for you guys.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for coming along, guys. Good
Thanks,
fun.
Marty.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You got it.
Has grown, warmer water, smaller pond. There's some things here, circle on. Sometimes I'll reach to meet the clouds, but I always keep one foot on ground. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And away on distant lands, I always keep one foot on sand.
Alright guys, thanks again. It's okay if you guys want to take your seatbelts off. I'm going to give you a handout here in just a few seconds.